Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm so happy because I have Daren with me. This is not the first time Daren and I sitting together at Bishan Park shooting videos. This is actually the second time. First time the video actually appeared in Daren's YouTube channel. I think we'll put the link at the description. So welcome back, Daren.
Thank you for having me. Hello everyone.
The last time we met, that was like 3 months back. So a lot has happened in the past 3 months. You went to Germany for the trip and so on, and you also created quite a number of videos since then. Share with us your experience, your Europe trip.
So we went to Germany for 6 days in October. The main reason we went there was to see Elon Musk and also visit the new Tesla Gigafactory in Berlin. It was our first trip to Germany. So we landed in Frankfurt, spent 3 days there, took the train to the northeast to Berlin and got to meet a lot of Tesla fans. The first time in my life seeing so many Teslas, it's insane. And finally getting to see Elon Musk face to face for the first time. He's tall, he's really tall. Yeah, I feel like a midget next to him.
What was the distance between you and Elon's?
Quite a distance. So he was on stage giving a talk. There were like 20 people ahead of me. Kind of far. It's like half a football field length.
Your trip to Germany, right? You mentioned this is the first time. Is there any like culture shock or any things that actually surprised you, or you find out this is something new to you after you visited?
I think for one, it's a lot quieter in Germany. Example, in Singapore, all the pedestrian crossings you hear the teet, 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 teet. It's silent in Germany. There's a lot less noise pollution. We are so used to renovation, construction sounds here as well. It's a lot quieter in Germany. There's a lot more cycling, I noticed. Like, the weather is much better for cycling. It's great weather there for cycling. Not so much culture, but I think Europe right now in the pandemic, back then when we were there, nobody had to wear masks outdoors. We were in front of, like, together 9,000 people in the Tesla factory in Berlin. Nobody was wearing masks. COVID cases back then were actually relatively low when we went in October. Situation is very different now. When we were doing our research for Germany, we thought, okay, we need to try a lot of German food. Yet, a lot of our German friends actually say, it's okay. We don't always eat German food. Actually, there are great kebabs, great Vietnamese food as well. So just go for a range of cuisine. You don't only need to eat German food.
Back to the Tesla tour. I know you have created very long videos, walk us through the Tesla tours. Yes. Is there anything that actually make you very impressive? Because this is the first time that you visited a Tesla factory, right? This is the first time I visited a car factory, full stop. First thing, this as a human walking in, the building is huge. It's crazy huge. It's out of your imagination type of huge. It's that big. It was just walking. There were multiple points where we thought, okay, that's the end of the factory tour. But then it just went on and on and on. So I think the first visceral impression is, wow, that factory is huge, it's gigantic, which means that they're going to be producing a heck lot of car. The other thing is, how often would a company open a factory to thousands of people? I was talking to some Tesla staff there. I was asking them, do you think some of your competitors are here? I know they are here. I see a lot of them from BMW, Mercedes, Toyota. A lot of them are here visiting the Tesla factory as well. They want to see what's going on. That is a sign of how unique the culture is and also their conviction in what they're doing. Opening a factory up to the world means that you clearly believe in what you're doing and you're not trying to hide things. A few years ago, Elon Musk also released most of Tesla's patents because their mission is really to get everyone to drive an EV. And a big point in the culture there is, so when someone visits a Tesla showroom, success for them is not necessarily the person buying a Tesla. If a person walks out of a Tesla showroom and they want to buy an EV, that is success for Tesla. So it's a mission to accelerate the world's transition. I think those were big impressions. I love seeing the car factory. I didn't understand a lot of what I was seeing, so I was learning a lot. People had to correct me, okay, this is not the Giga press, this is a stamping machine. I learned what's the paint shop, what's the final assembly area. Okay, I do not come from an engineering background. I graduated in accounting and finance. That is not an excuse, but it makes me learn a lot. The next time I visit a Tesla factory, I'm going to go from a 1 out of 10 to hopefully a 4 out of 10. Fingers crossed. Definitely we will talk a lot about Tesla because your main holdings is Tesla. Before we get into the details of the stock holdings and talk about the companies that you invested, right, especially Tesla, right? So you actually put it publicly and make it open and transparent that, okay, this is your holdings. What's your thinking process when you decided to just open your portfolio for everyone to see?
My thought process is, one, by putting my portfolio out there, I hold myself accountable and all of you will hold me accountable. So if my investments suck, you would know it, I'd know it. The other thing is, we are on YouTube. People want to know that what these people are, they do what they say. In the world of finance, you're putting your own money. So you want to see, do people actually have the conviction of their words as well? So that's my thinking behind it. There are ups and downs. Yes, Tesla looks good right now. There could be market corrections. And again, people will say, what's going on? Like ARK Invest. And not all my investments are doing well. So like I bought genomic stocks, Pacific Biosciences, CRISPR Therapeutics, they're down 40, 50%. 30% on average. I think the goal of putting out there is to also make it safe for people to see it is okay to fail. We all learn together. Unless you're investing in money that you desperately need, no mistake should be catastrophic. We can all pick ourselves up from it. And we learn more from our failures than our successes.
Actually, I talked to some content creators, be it YouTubers or maybe bloggers. They will say that, okay, the reason they try not to put everything publicly, at least they don't show their 100% of their portfolio publicly, is because they say this might affect the way they manage their investment. For example, if you talk about Tesla for 50, 100 videos, and then suddenly just one day your view on Tesla has changed, so you need to like maybe sell your Tesla stocks, and you are not able to do so because of what you have shared, including your stock holdings. So do you think that this is something that bothers you or no?
You can apply a pressure, and it depends on how you position yourself with your audience. Again, I've got a full-time job. I'm an investor first, a YouTuber second. So YouTube's a bonus, and I think that allows me to hopefully talk about when my investment changes. When I'm, let's say, moving all my Tesla funds one day to maybe SpaceX or some other company, I'll talk about it openly. I think not everyone can do that, especially if they build a brand. Let's say they're the Alibaba guru, for instance, or they're Tesla guru. Yeah, it's tough. It's not easy. We'll find out along the way how we handle that.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Just want to know again your thinking process, like whether you are doing this on a top-down allocations or is it like something that is not. What I mean by top-down allocation is that because of your research that you have done on Tesla, you know that okay, you want to allocate say 70%, 50% to this company. So you basically just rebalance so that you have this percentage, right?
Yeah.
So is that how you do it, or you follow your other methods?
I'm a new investor. I'm a newbie in this. There's no grand plan, like my 3-5 year plan on my investments. I'm learning along the way, like many of you as well. I think what happens more organically is as I build more conviction in something, in this case it's Tesla right now, I invest more in it. Like the reasons why I bought Apple evolved over time. So I'm 85% Tesla, 10% Apple. When I bought something at Apple, one, I love the products, I use the products a lot, and I'm very familiar with it. It's a very safe investment, it's really a bond. Recently, as people talk about how do you maintain liquidity because Tesla is very volatile, another new perspective that came on is Apple is kind of like my cash equivalent because it's relatively steady. If Apple drops by 50%, we've got bigger problems in life to worry about. Whereas for Tesla, dropping 30% is possible. It's more rare now, it's less volatile now compared to last year, but it's still possible. So there's no big grand plan. I'll do say generally, a majority Tesla, minority Apple, and a little bit of everything else. I think what will change over time is I will invest more in SpaceX and Starlink eventually. So I think of Tesla almost as my foundation right now, at least for the next 5 to 10 years. Then I want to build the next layer of SpaceX and Starlink.
Are you done with your purchase of Tesla shares, or are you going to ramp up the purchase?
Not yet. So I'll continue buying Tesla, dollar cost averaging, buying every 2 to 3 months on average until Tesla share price hits $2,000. After it hits $2,000, then I want to invest in SpaceX or Starlink. But this is SpaceX, you usually need about 150k US dollars to start investing in private grounds. Starlink, the IPO is out of any of our control. Depends on when Elon Musk announces it. So in the meantime, if after Tesla hits a $2,000 share price, as the funds accumulate, I'm not going to keep it in cash like I did like a noob last time. I'll keep it either in Tesla or Apple still, and then move it over to SpaceX or Starlink once I can invest in them.
How much conviction that do you have whether Tesla will hit 2,000 or not?
Right now, today, very high, because as a new investor, when you look at how most stocks, most companies, even if you take a really boring company like Walmart, the stock has grown like what, 10, 20,000% over the past 30, 40 years. So if Walmart can do that, all other okay companies can grow by thousands of percentage over a longer term period. Generally, the S&P 500 grows about 9% per year in the past 30 years. So just by that number, it's a matter of when or not if Tesla hits 2,000. Let's hit it in 3 years or 10 years. And I think it's sooner rather than later. So conviction's high.
Nice, to the moon.
It's to the moon also because it's something that you all can see, especially for those of us in Singapore. You're going to spot the Tesla Model 3 everywhere. Tesla is selling almost 10% of all cars in Singapore with just one car model. Name me any other car brand that's doing that in this country now. There's none. Imagine when they have the Model Y, the Model S, the Model X, the $25,000 compact sedan here one day. And that's also a big part of how I think about investing as well. When I invest, many others, they look at the financial reports and all the financial metrics. I do, but a bigger part of my investing is really looking at the physical products and services, how people use something. So example, right now, this is being recorded on a DJI camera, a pocket camera. And to me, that's a signal that DJI is making good products. Boon would not be using a DJI camera if it wasn't good. That's how I think about my research. Like, what products are people using? I see an iPhone here. That's bullish for me as an Apple investor.
In order for Tesla to do well, yes, definitely car is important, but it's also the wider ecosystems, right? For example, the charging network, and also the battery cost has to come down, and then the surveys, all those things, right? And we can see the progress, at least from Singapore here perspective, right? We can see that there are more and more charging points, and it makes the experience more convenient, right?
Yes. Here's a question for everyone when you think about big changes and doubt. Let me ask all of you. Next year, are battery prices going to be higher or lower? Next year, are there more EV charging stations in the world or less? Next year, is Tesla going to sell more cars or less? I think this is grounding ourselves on what Elon likes to say, like first principles. So don't just look at the past analogies, but look at the reality, the fundamental truths today, what's true and what's not, and just break it down into its smaller components to make your own decisions.
We are stock investors, right? We invest in these companies. Usually the one thing that we can track on a very frequent basis is definitely the share price. Actually, what we are trying to advocate here is just to look into the business and just focus on how the business is doing, because if the business is doing well over the long term, for sure the share price and the investor will be well rewarded. Even though we say focus on the business and so on, but yet the share price and its volatility, right, is something that bother quite a number of investors.
Yes.
Because when the share price tank, it doesn't feel good, right? It feels like get punched in the face, right? I know you own Tesla shares for at least more than a year, so at least you have experienced the drawdown, let's say from beginning of this year to,
yes,
I think it's around March, right, that it dropped quite significantly. Share with us your experience and how are you handling such volatility?
I feel it's really a matter of perspective. We choose to see what we want to see. If you want to see a correction or panic, you will find it. Because perspective matters so much. When Tesla's price went down, there were actually some people who were super happy, like, yay, I can buy more, please stay down longer, let me accumulate and buy more. For others to be, this sucks, I already lost 30%, let me sell before I lose even more. Perspective matters so much. I think when we're investing, it's not just the fundamentals of the company, it's also the fundamentals of your mindset. How are you thinking about investing? Are you a trader? Are you an investor? Some people like the quote, that Warren Buffett quote, if you panic thinking about the stock for 10 minutes, forget about holding it for 10 years. The mindset comes from your conviction. Your conviction can come many ways. It can come from your research, but it can also come from your belief. Example, when Elon Musk started his companies, SpaceX and Tesla, he actually felt that they had a 10% chance of succeeding. But he chose to do it because he felt it was worth it. Even if failure was very high, I do it because I believe in it. So I think investing is not just facts, but also values and beliefs. If you really believe in something enough, you invest in it because you identify with it. You want it to succeed. But you need to go in open eyes knowing that chances are really high. For every Tesla, there are 10, 20 other failures of good ideas, great ideas.
So it's not a problem for you to look at red in your portfolio and you just don't open the brokerage app. Just skip it.
It's a problem to some extent for all of us. Do we want to open an app every morning and see red or green? Some people will say, oh, if it's red, don't see. If it's green, see. Courage is not the absence of fear, but also just acting in spite of fear. Recognizing our emotions is healthy and important. It is okay to feel fear, but it's important to understand where that fear is coming from so that we can address that fear. If let's say Tesla stock price goes from 1,000 as of yesterday's closing to 500 now, a lot of people will feel fear. I would as well, but then I'll ask, why did it go to 500? Now, based on different reasons, you'd feel it differently. If let's say a front page in New York Times, Giga Shanghai is ordered to close by Chinese government. Well, yeah. I think fear is very legit, credible. If you don't feel fear, something's wrong. If it's because Elon just tweeted some random thing like I feel like stepping down and be a influencer, fine.
Full-time YouTuber.
Yeah, we'll buy the dip. Fear is not bad, it is a tool. It's a reason why fear isn't evolved out of us yet. It serves us if we use it well.
Crisis for some people might be an opportunity for the other people, right? So it really depends on whether we are taking advantage or not.
Agree.
Yeah, I think the next things I want to ask also related to this is that quite a number of YouTubers or content creators that talk about Tesla, right? But I think not many of them actually talk about valuation, or even if they talk about valuation, they just briefly go through it. It doesn't get into the details. So you have sizable allocations to this one single company. Valuation is something that will determine whether this is a successful investment or not. Because even if a company is great companies, but if you bought it at a price that is unreasonably high, so that one might be a problem also, right? So my question to you is that what do you think of the valuation? Have you really looked into it? What do you see from a valuation angle?
So I've shared publicly before that, first set of context, I think that Tesla will be worth about 3,000 by 2025 and it closer to 8,000 by 2030. Now, how does that come about? As a new investor, that first point comes about just learning from others. I think the good thing about today's world is that you don't need to do all the research yourself. There's a lot of information out there. The hard part's finding the right one. to use for yourself. Tesla is one of the world's most covered companies and stocks. You won't find any other company in the world covered even half as much. Not even Apple, the world's most valuable company, ironically. I try to take different perspectives when I do my research as a newer investor. Whether it's like Tesla Daily, Rob Mauer, very objective. It's almost like daily news of Tesla. Gary Black comes to the institutional investor standpoint, the good and bad with it. Then you've got retail investors, Chicken Genius, you've got Solving the Money Problem. And because of the gift of social media, even really wealthy billionaires, people like Ko Guan, he's tweeting recently. He used to be very private, he's tweeting recently. So he talks a little bit about his thought process behind Tesla as well. Research publications or even individuals like Sawyer Merritt, who tweets a lot of breaking news. Jay in Shanghai, Tesla China News. You've got websites like Electric or Tasmanian Tesla News as well. So there's so much coverage on Tesla, even hearing directly from employees. So I think those are all the second-hand research. That means these are research from other people. I complement that with my own primary research. That means I go and meet Tesla owners myself and talk to them. Why are you driving this car? What do you hate about this car? What will your next car be? So far, I've met a few hundred Tesla owners, and every time I ask them, what will your next car be? 100%, it is a Tesla. It's almost as high as asking an iPhone owner, what's your next phone going to be? Now, there's some 5% iPhone owners say, I'm going to try the new Samsung flip phone. I think it's pretty cool. But for Tesla owners, so far, it's 100%. Owners, employees, I do my best to visit every single factory, office, store, service center that can be, because I just want to understand what goes on, what's the vibe like, and what's the customer experience. When you walk into Tesla service center, how do you feel? Trying the cars themselves. So our friend Alvin, you've seen him in a couple of videos where we tried his car. So that's my primary research to complement it. Secondary and primary research add in, and that helps shape my valuation. The last part is just understanding a little bit more about equity, stock market, what are the trends, like knowing stats like S&P 500 grows by 9% year on year. So if 9% is the baseline, what's Tesla going to be? And also looking at other previous growth stocks or other companies, let's say Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Walmart, and just seeing how they did, why they did over a time frame. After all of that, adjusting my own expectations, coming up with a valuation. I think one thing that some people do well is they also have a base, a bear, a bull case. Because nobody can predict consistently short-term corrections. So I think that's helpful.
So right now the share price is like within the range, or is it like you still see even for the bear case you're expecting to earn a decent return?
Actually, most people's Tesla bear case had still way better returns than S&P 500 usually. Usually Tesla bear case is about maybe 20-30% annual growth. Then base case will normally be closer to 30-40% annual growth. Wow. And then bull case will be closer to 40-50%, on an average 5-year period. Because if corrections happen that last for 1 or 2 years, that's going to bring down numbers significantly. There was the 2008 financial crisis. Apple stock dropped by 50%. A lot of people sold. Let me cut my losses, But then Apple stock recovered fully within a year. There's power in holding when you can hold. The reason why we get so influenced by short-term valuations is because we need the money. Okay, I need to take out this 50K because I need to buy my home. I need to pay for my home loan right now, or my car, or whatnot.
For example, we are not trading, so we mainly invest in companies that we like, and then time is always our friend, right? So we just stay invested. Let's say there's change in valuation to us, even if it takes, let's say, 2 to 3 years to recover, it is still something that we can take, right? Because 2 to 3 years is actually not that long. We are talking about like decades ahead, right?
I want to call out that right now investing is almost like a privilege or a luxury, because if you've got money, investing is going to be easier for you, and you've got time to do the research as well. If you've got money, you're probably in a white collar role where your hours are also a little bit more flexible. If you're in a tougher situation, you're working in a blue collar role, or you're still a student, or a single household income family, or in a country where capital gains taxes are much higher than Singapore. We pay 0% here. So wealth gain is significantly higher in a place like Singapore. So it is a privilege, and not everyone has that same ability to invest in long term. Sometimes it's not because they don't want to invest in long term, but they really don't have the money to park aside for a couple of years.
Okay, let's talk the second stocks that you also briefly mentioned, which is Apple, because I know you only own like Tesla, Apple, and some other smaller allocations. For those who want to know more about Daren's coverage on Tesla, please check his YouTube channel. I think there's tons of material there. But let's talk about Apple. Can you please explain to us like what's your thesis behind Apple investment?
Apple is my bond. It's really stable. Anytime you want to withdraw money from Apple, which is selling Apple stock, you know that you're going to get pretty stable price. I have 10% of my investments in Apple right now. I love the brand. I love what Steve Jobs stood for when they created the brand. Apple's the intersection between the liberal arts and technology. My entire family uses the entire ecosystem. So I think of Apple almost like a mass luxury, right? Some of these things are not going to go away for a long long time. If something like Hermes or Apple declines, you're going to see it a mile away. It's going to be a 5-7 year decline, not a 1-2 year decline. It's a bedrock. If I need money, I can sell all my Apple stock and reinvest it. Example, Starlink IPOs tomorrow. I need all the money now. I need 100k or 50k. I sell all my Apple stock, it goes to Starlink. So I think of Apple as a really strong bond with good rate of return, higher rate of return than S&P 500. S&P 500 9%. Apple in past 30 years on average 22% growth per year. That's decent. Well, many people say Apple's not a growth stock. 20% growth a year is growth stock territory, you know?
But that was 20 years ago, right? But right now they are considered mature by some people, right?
True.
So what's your take on that?
I think they're relatively mature. They're not going to give as high gains as a Tesla or crypto if you can stand the volatility for the long term, but I'm still happy with it. It's far better than keeping my money in a bank, in a bond, or an ETF.
You mentioned about like your investing approach is by looking at people who's using all these products and
Yes.
that gives you confidence, right?
Yes.
Do you actually like pay attention to the financial because one, I would say the bull thesis for Apple is like not so much about their products, it's all about their cash generating capacity. Right?
Yeah.
So do you pay attention to that or no?
I have a different perspective on your cash generating capacity and also the fact that they pay dividends. So to me, if you're paying dividends, it means you don't have better ideas on how to use the cash. Therefore, you give it back to the shareholders or you do share buybacks. That's almost a signal that the major growth is slowing down. It's not the end, but it's slowing down. I actually wish as a shareholder that they didn't pay dividends, that they focus it on growth. But that's also a selfish reason because in Singapore, we have zero capital gains tax. We pay 30% tax on dividends. So we rather have capital gains. In many other countries, for so many of my friends around the world, capital gains tax is like 30%. It's insane. It's crazy. Yeah. For some of them, they don't even sell stock. They will try to find a way to move their careers from another country, let's say from India to Singapore, so that they can sell stock. Because they instantly become 30% richer just by moving to another country and selling with zero capital gains tax. So I think Apple having a lot of cash gives them a lot of safety, security, and buffer. Cash is king, so that means they're not going to go bankrupt anytime soon. And also, if there's a market correction, when valuation goes low, there's a good opportunity for a company like Apple to acquire great companies, great talent, work with more suppliers, and grow even further. So I think that cash flow can be an asset, especially in tougher times, not just good times.
Come back to this topic about whether companies should pay dividends or whether they should target for more growth, right?
Yeah.
I think it really depends on the company's DNA as well. Because for example, like Apple, they have a lot of cash, doesn't mean that they should just expand without any strategics, right? Because they are actually doing a lot of investment as well. For example, like in the semiconductor area, they are designing their own chip for like most of their products now. I think that's definitely good investment, but we don't want them to go into areas that they are not familiar with, right? Because they are not playing their strength basically. I think discipline is also important.
I think it's the hard part because cash is a resource, like a seed. You want to plant it and grow it, but you want to use it well. And we've talked about it before, even in your group chats, that cash isn't the answer to everything. So example, in the automotive industry, all these car companies say, we're investing 100 billion in EVs, we're going to launch 50 new models by 2030. Spending doesn't give you great products. You need great talent, great leadership, great engineering. That's why you hire great people. Think of good ways to use the cash. There must be good ways to use the cash. Example, Apple has more than 100,000 employees, yes. There must be at least 5 people in a company who have great ideas on using the cash well. And it's also two-way, right? People will say, don't go to areas you're not familiar with. But if you told Apple that 20 years ago, they would have still been selling MacBooks to you. In fact, they wouldn't even be selling MacBooks because they wouldn't have enough profits to even retain the MacBook business. They were months away from bankruptcy in the late 1990s when Steve Jobs just returned to the company. There's another saying like, people think you're crazy until you're successful. Then they say, wow, you're a visionary. You need to do enough crazy things, and cash gives you the safety net to do crazy things. So I really hope that a company like Apple does a few more crazy things. It may not be a car, it may not be an AR, VR device, but do a few more crazy things and give us one more thing in WWDC this year. Like, don't you miss that? Like the whole showmanship, that surprise, like wow.
Yes. What do you think of Apple come up with Apple Car?
We've talked about it. So a bit of context, like Apple's level 1 to be first in the industry. Foldable phones, 5G, it'll be Samsung or other people coming out with it first. But Apple, or even tablets. But Apple is usually the first to come out with a product that just works. Like, it works really well. So they've done so for watches. It's amazing. They were not the first to launch the smartwatch. They've done so with the AirPods. People laugh at the design, but now you see AirPods everywhere that you go, and they set industry standards. When it comes to car, like, is there a problem to solve? Is there a big pain point? The answer for this isn't as convincing. Like, companies like, whether it's Tesla or other companies who are coming out with good EVs, good cars, I think the user experience is getting much better. If Apple's trying to launch a car 3 years from now, 4 years from now, the pace of change is so fast in EVs and also self-driving technology that it feels to me as not a non-expert that it's a little bit too late to even come up with something great. Because imagine a Tesla or a Xpeng or a Lucid or a Rivian car 3 years from now. How much better would it be? And this takes them 1-2 decades to do it right. So I think it's a very big uphill challenge for Apple. I think that with their immense wealth and expertise and also their brand equity, I see a bigger opportunity for them to invest in healthcare. The whole brand is built on trust, privacy. Healthcare is huge business. The world's aging. You can do so much more with healthcare. It ties in really well with the ecosystem. Yes, many people say that cars are now the biggest computer that you will have, it integrates all your devices, but so can healthcare.
Definitely. I think these are the areas that really promising, and we hope to see more, right? I mean, innovations, be it services or be it something to do with the devices, right? I think healthcare is one, education is one, finance is another one, right? These are the areas that considered traditional industry now, but hopefully there's more innovations and more companies get into this space and change the experience altogether, right?
And think about it, you'd spend maybe 100,000 to buy a car. But if your loved one has a health issue or you want to protect their health, you would spend $1 million for your loved one for their health. Healthcare is immensely more valuable than getting into a car itself if that's the only intent. I think if Apple does launch a car, they're not doing it just to be a car, but to complement the broader Apple ecosystem, like how all devices help each other.
What I'm thinking about why they are getting into the auto industry is because right now the transport or car transport as we know, right, is like really not the way forward. Let's say compare now versus 5 years later, the experience, including all this self-driving, we can summon the cars, come. These kind of things, we don't see it on the road right now. It's not common, right? But let's say 5 years down the road, this will become common. And that's why it is something that can meaningfully different compared to what we have now. That's why they can get into it and put their innovation into the works.
Agree.
Let's talk about all these biotech companies that you have invested in.
Okay.
I think for those who don't know the details, maybe you can list out a couple of investments that you have made and still invested, and then let us know like what do you think?
So I've invested in 2 genomics companies, CRISPR Therapeutics, so they're trying to come up with a cure for cancer, for instance, and Pacific Biosciences. They make the machines that help with the gene sequencing. So they're almost like the EV charging stations of the industry. Everyone would use their machines, their product.
But for these areas, right, because I myself is not biotech engineer, you also not biotech engineer, so it's quite hard, right, to choose or to select companies to invest because they really require a very deep technical knowledge to just understand the basics, right?
Agree.
So how do you come to like invest in these 2 companies? Like how do you choose?
So my understanding on genomics is very limited. It's more my belief that that field is going to grow very significantly, like how the internet ushered in a lot of new technologies in companies. We've done so much software engineering on devices that eventually all that software engineering is going to come into biology as well, the human body. We're just GATC. We're code to be rescripted. There's a lot of ethical challenges to it, but there's also so much potential to extend life, to save lives, to improve not just the quantity of life, but the quality of life. Many of us will wonder in a world of aging population, how would my last 10, 20, 30 years be? Alzheimer's, Parkinson's is very common right now. Cancer is very common, especially in richer worlds, but then most of the world is getting richer. It's got immense potential. I have strong conviction on the industry. The hard part is which are the companies that are really going to succeed and grow. I don't have a good answer. I invested in those 2 companies because ARK invested in those companies. They were top holdings. I picked the top holdings in ARK Invest. There are some small YouTube channels like from doctors who talk a little bit about these genomic stocks, good, but nowhere near as much coverage as a Tesla or even an Apple. Apple is covered more than genomic stocks because genomics are mostly right now, they don't have products out there or they're more B2B, so it's very hard to understand them. Even if you read their earnings report or director CEO statements, you don't understand fully what all of them are saying. You know generally that they're trying to cure cancer or they're trying to cure leukemia or whatnot, but that's it. It's a leap of faith. Is it a good investment? It's a long-term investment. I'm not going to sell it. Would I invest more in genomics now? Short answer is no, I won't, because I just haven't done enough primary and secondary research to say that, wow, that was a great investment.
For those who are from biotech industry, if you can actually understand all these technical details, I think it will be great that you can step up to become a content creator and help publics like us to better understand these companies, right? I think this is important, right?
Yeah, I think there's opportunity there. And the second is also to reframe the investors' expectations on time frame. Drug discovery, FDA approval, clinical trial. People measure this in decades, not just years. I don't think most investors want that or expect that. Most investors think long-term investing 3 to 5 years. But 3 to 5 years, you're barely through a clinical trial. Genomics is going to be a place where the moment it's FDA approved or a cure for cancer is passed, it's just going to rocket. But when's that going to happen? I don't know. We need to learn more. I want to echo Boon's point that there's a lot more discovery education needed. So if you're an expert or you work in the industry, whether it's through Reddit, YouTube, TikTok, or giving a talk, or even having a chat group, a Telegram chat group, go out there and speak with people because we're curious, we want to learn. This is something that's so important to all of us. This is health, life, wellness. I want to know more about it. Even if I'm not invested in it, I want to know it because this technology impacts all of us. There are controversial things that people talk about. What if I clone a Boon tea? People are cloning their pets now, yes? Yeah, they're cloning their pets. Genomics is going to have a more fundamental impact on human society than the internet. So I think more than just an investment, now that I think about it, right, that small amount that I have invested in genomic stocks, which by the way is down like 40-50% from when I bought it last year, it's kind of like skin in the game. Because you have some money in it, you're curious about it. And that curiosity allows you to stay informed about crucial piece of technology that's going to change our life in the decades to come. It may not be us, but definitely our kids.
These are the area that is still moving very fast.
Yeah.
And I think we have to plan for our future, including how we manage our health and so on, right? This knowledge is definitely something that's valuable and help us to improve our lifespan, health span, and so on, right? Yeah.
Yes, many forms of wealth, the financial type, the health one, we talked about Apple, and also knowledge. Some people I say that knowledge is wealth as well.
Yeah, that's why we are doing this, to share the knowledge, to share the perspective and so on. How long have you started your YouTube channel? I think it's not even 9 months, right?
We started in June, July, so 6 months.
Congratulations for I think close to 7,000 subscribers. So my question to you is that what's your planning for next year? Do you plan to create more Tesla related content, or do you actually plan to do other content as well?
I'll continue covering a lot of investments I invest in, I'm curious about. So you'll see definitely more on Tesla, on Apple. That's going to be the main focus next year. And it's not just going to be the financial part of it. I'm also going to meet users. You'll see me in factory tours. You'll see me with drivers. You'll see me talking to Tesla employees as well. And hopefully in different countries around the world, I hope to visit Gigafactory, Texas, when Elon opens the factory for factory tour, which is now Tesla's new HQ as well. They moved the headquarters from California to Texas. So a US trip is in the cards. I'm going, even if there's no vaccinated travel lane, I'm going to the US. I'll spend a 1 week hotel quarantine if we need to. I'll be there. Committed. You got it here first.
Any closing statement or anything you want to share?
So I've actually known Boon because of starting a YouTube channel. Our paths wouldn't have crossed otherwise. We're in a totally different world. If I ask what would I remember the most about the past 6 months doing this investing and also being here on YouTube with all of you, it's the gain, the growth in wealth, not so much health. I mean, we're in a park right now, that's nice because of fresh air, but definitely the growth in knowledge and also networks and friends, the people we meet in our life. I think that every day we should bring with us a growth mindset, a lot of curiosity. Generally, as we grow older or we are more seasoned, we're better investors, we're better employees, we're more seasoned as parents, we tend to make more assumptions like we know how this works. I think we should always try to empty your cup a little bit, to not just learn but to unlearn as well, and to see things in a new perspective, to almost have that childlike curiosity and hunger for life. And being parents, I think that's one of the gifts. My daughter keeps on asking, even in the cinema, I know it's very annoying to cinema people goers, why is this character doing this? Why is that character doing that? Why is the grass green? I don't want to lose that curiosity. I hope you don't too. I hope that curiosity serves you. Never forget how important it is. And there was also this quote by Lego about play. So curiosity can be fun as well. It's like how kids in Montessori, they learn through play, yes?
Yeah.
So Singapore has the world's best education in science and maths, but it's also very closely tied with Norway on science and maths. But kids in Norway, they don't go for berries or tuition or enrichment classes. They just play in playground, and their science and maths are equally as good as Singapore. Curiosity can be manifested through play as well. We have a lot of fun. And Lego says that you don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing. So continue playing, continue having fun as well.
Like what we are doing here.
Yeah.
It's considered playing as well. Keep trying, do different things, right?
Yes.
For those who are young, who are thinking about starting a YouTube channel, they want to trying even starting blogs, anything, right? They just want to start out, right? Any advice or any suggestion that you want to give for such people?
I think one mindset that's very helpful to have. There was a recent interview with MKBHD and Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has about 80 million YouTube subscribers. And MKBHD asked, like, how do you measure success, or what do you think about? And he said, just try to focus on creating the best content out there. The rest of the secondary metrics, viewership, subscribers, will follow if you've got great content. Same thing with investing. If you've got good conviction, you put your money where it is, the rest, the growth will follow. Just do the best you can and always be true to yourself. Do something that you are proud of. Do something that you believe that your kids will be proud of as well. Think of all of this, even this video, like a time capsule. One day, Boon and my kids are going to watch this 10, 20 years from now and wonder, so that's what they were like
When they were young.
Yeah. Treat every vlog, every video, every post as if this was the last one that you would create. Will you be proud of it? And if the answer is yes, keep on going every single day.
Thanks a lot for the advice.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I think we have come to the end of the interview. This is our second interview. It won't be the last one. We will have such follow-up interview meetings in future. Thank you so much, Daren.
Welcome.
Yeah. See you in the next one.
And click subscribe.